Hello, everyone, and welcome to UBS Trending. I'm Steve Mattis. Today is the final day of our Sustainable Investing Focus Week. It's an immersive educational experience designed to help you discover how sustainable investing can advance your financial goals. I'm pleased to be joined by my colleagues, Lynette Jefferson, Andrew Lee, and Martijn Oosterveld, as we explore the future of sustainable investing. Andrew, let's start with you. Can you comment on the current market environment? How do you see it changing the conversation around sustainable investing?
Thanks, Steve. So I think the first thing to mention is that the long-term intersection of sustainability and investments, we see that as intact. That's something that we've seen continue over the last few years and continue to extend. So we expect that that's a trend that's not affected by current market dynamics at all. What I think is interesting about current market dynamics, whether it's the war in Ukraine or inflation or the market correction, is that it's underscored the importance of sustainability for investments. And I think that's relevant for all investors, not just those that focus on sustainability. So examples like food security or energy security, these are things that have been long the domain of sustainable development and sustainable investors, and now are elevated so that all investors need to think about it. So I think it's actually something that has become more important in the current environment and on a go-forward basis for investors. I think one other thing that the current environment has really emphasized is for sustainable investors and those who are focused on sustainability to look through all of their individual investments and say, how are these investments actually contributing from a sustainability perspective? It's not binary investing sustainability or not. It's actually thinking about different contributions to sustainability objectives from different types of investments. So I think the long-term trend towards sustainable investing remains the same. I think the current market environment underscores everything that we're seeing in terms of the importance of sustainability, and investors really looking at the specifics of their investments and understanding whether they meet their sustainability objectives alongside financial performance.
Thank you, Andrew. That's a good segue into my first question for Lynette. Lynette, what are you observing in your conversations with financial advisors and clients? What is the understanding of the space, and are there any areas where further clarity is needed?
Thanks, Stephen. And let me just start with some data. And according to our UBS investor sentiment research, 2/3 of investors surveyed globally think sustainable investing is a highly important part of their portfolio strategy. And close to 80% expect the same or better returns compared to traditional investing. So what you have now is a large pool of clients who are interested in sustainable investing. They understand the value, they see the investment case, and so forth. And they're actively adopting sustainable investing to advance their financial goals. These clients see sustainability as a way to expand what's possible, a means of expanding investment opportunities, and those opportunities are there to drive change across environmental and social outcomes. However, even though we at UBS believe sustainability matters for all investors and relevant, we still face non-adoption. And with respect to the non-adopters, I think there are two things at play. Number one, inaction is one, and uncertainty. So let me just break those down. 85% of these non-adopters are actually happy with their existing investment approach. 73% of those say it's hard to know what kind of impact sustainable investing actually has on a portfolio, and 68% don't want to sell current investments and pay capital gains taxes. So clearly, we're wading through all of this stuff, addressing these comments, these misconceptions. But what we're bringing is, obviously, through our thought leadership and CIO, the intellectual capital. We're developing educational resources and tools to provide more transparency to clients. But we're also presenting facts about performance over time and evidence that the performance of sustainability performs comparably, if not better, over time to traditional investments. So we continue to work to continue to highlight those benefits, whether that be the ability to invest in companies that demonstrate leadership along the environmental, social, and governance activities, or ones that are even helping to finance the transition to a more sustainable world. We're even looking at how investing sustainably may be the way for clients to make a lasting impact alongside producing competitive financial returns. So, of course, we're here at UBS to help you and our clients incorporate sustainable investing into their overall wealth plan. And I really appreciate the question.
Thank you, Lynette. Following up on that, what are you seeing in terms of client demand? And what trends are emerging? What themes are gaining traction?
Well, fortunately, Steve, in spite of some of the non-adopters, there's no shortage of demand for sustainable investing solutions. So kind of going back to that UBS data, about 70% of investors within a financial advisor are very interested in advice on increasing their allocation to sustainable investing. That's a number that we cannot overlook and we're really leaning into. And as you've heard throughout the week, during Focus Week, certain client segments have shown even stronger interest, including women, multicultural investors, and the rising generation. So with that in mind, I think there are two growing trends I want to tap into. The first is personalization, and the second is inclusive investing. In my opinion, these two topics and thoughts are inextricably linked. So starting with personalization, more and more clients are looking for ways to tailor their investment or portfolios to their unique sustainability preferences in many cases. It could span across people, water, climate, health, education, the list goes on. Another great example, I think, is personalized advice around diversity, equity, and inclusion in investment portfolios. Clients want to know what that looks like. So excitingly, we've just launched inclusive investing at UBS in answer to that significant client demand that we're seeing and for more personalized investments that address social issues or take social considerations into account. Ultimately, our approach here is really to deliver what clients are asking for and empower investors to support D&I and inclusion through deliberate investment choices that align with their personal principles, promote inclusive social objectives, and seek competitive financial returns.
That's great. Thank you, Lynette. Now, Martijn, over to you. Can you reflect on where you're seeing spaces for innovation and sustainable and impact investing in response to the current market environment and asset trends?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Steve. I think the main focus we see today still from a global perspective is on climate investments. It's estimated that around 3 to 5 trillion per year needs to be invested to reach the Paris climate goals for 2050. And that obviously creates a huge opportunity. And what we're seeing is a lot of innovation across different asset classes, how investors can allocate to that. And then there are three key categories that I would distinguish. One is mitigation. This is investing in companies or projects that very efficiently and with a very low carbon footprint are able to deliver their products and services to their clients. The second one is adaptation, and it's probably the most familiar one. If you look at adaptation, then that includes the companies that provide the products and services that are the solutions for reaching that low carbon economy. Think about renewable energy companies or battery storage solutions. And then the third way, and this is maybe even the most interesting solution, is the investing in transitioning companies. So these are companies that by the nature of their sector where they're active in, like steel or cement, have difficulties driving down the carbon footprint, but through their technological progress are able to align with a low carbon economy. And that's where huge opportunities lie. And one area of innovation that we clearly see is also the removal of carbon from the atmosphere. For instance, through nature-based solutions, think about what's happening on the mangrove side, or through technological solutions like carbon capture and storage. A second area where we see a lot of new products and innovation developing is on inclusive growth. If you think about topics like community development, social housing, health and education, diversity, equity, and inclusion, here traditionally it was relatively difficult to find dedicated investment solutions. And also UBS is providing this now through their clients as the supply of opportunities there increases. We see across the globe a heightened attention for health and safety standards and broad social topic, and this allows to develop across different asset classes, again, targeted solutions where investors can benefit both from the opportunities in this side as well as the contribution that they can deliver to a more equitable society.
Thank you, Martijn, and thank you for joining us from overseas today. Andrew, back over to you. Looking forward, what is the outlook for sustainable investing, both in terms of tools and instruments, as well as areas of opportunity?
So we think that the universe of sustainable investments is going to continue to evolve. Actually, the whole investment universe will continue to evolve and incorporate sustainability in lots of different ways. I think it's going to continue to expand across asset classes, so beyond just equities and fixed income to alternatives in particular. And we see lots of opportunities for investors to diversify their portfolios further and bring in different types of sustainability or different types of sustainability objectives into their portfolio as a result. Think about hedge funds and the different tool set that they bring to investors in addition to the long-only exposure in their portfolios, or real assets and private markets, which allow investors and really are the best tool for driving incremental, measurable, positive change towards many of the sustainability challenges that we see out there today. So lots of development that we see coming, and the broad investment universe continuing to incorporate sustainability much more at the core of investment process. I think from an opportunities standpoint, look, we're in the middle of a market correction, and I think that presents interesting opportunities for investors who don't already have sustainable investing exposure in their portfolios to swap like for like. So think about munis and swapping those for more sustainable munis, or think about investment grade fixed income and the opportunities to replace with green, social, and sustainability linked bonds. So lots of opportunities there. I think from a long-term perspective, we continue to see attractive long-term thematic opportunities in areas that have been mentioned already. Think about climate, think about diversity and inclusion, think about healthcare and education. These we think are interesting and perhaps even more interesting in light of a market correction. And I think the last thing that's really interesting to us and where we see the market evolving from an opportunity perspective is the options to deploy capital for positive impact, where we are driving a tangible change. And we do see lots more investors gravitating towards those opportunities because they represent significant investment opportunities, commercial opportunities that can generate financial performance as well as social and environmental outcomes. So lots of opportunities in the current market. We continue to think that investors who don't have exposure to sustainable should be thinking about sustainability's impact and their ability to use their capital to affect positive outcomes for society and the environment.
That's great. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, Lynette and Martijn. For more information and access to UBS content, please go to ubs.com/views. Follow UBS also on social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and check out past UBS Trending episodes on demand on our website. And as always, if you have questions about your portfolio, please speak with a financial advisor. Until next time, I'm Steve Mattis. Have a great day, and remember to keep your eyes on what's trending.